In this video, we're going to talk about how to start a political campaign speech. Here's a secret that no one's ever told you. It is the most important part of a political campaign speech. In this video, I'm going to tell you why and how you can start a speech, the many ways you can do it, and I'm going to tell you my favorite and best way to do it. Okay, what we're going to cover, we're going to do kind of a deep dive into this first. And there are some things that you need to consider about your speech and your audience before you make the decision about how to start your speech. Then, once you've done that, then there are many options of what you can use as your opening line. And I'm going to tell you then the final thing here is the best way to do it because I've seen it work so many times. It is magic. Let's start with the truth about most books that are written, most movies that are done, most plays that are done. People don't put the title on the book or the title on the movie or the title on the play until they have written the script or the book. Because sometimes the content of what you say in this speech is what you use to start your speech with, the opening line. Now, what do you want your audience to do as a result of what you say? Who are the people in your audience that you're trying to influence? Well, there are certain things you're going to tell them, right? That get them to do whatever it is they want to do, whether it's give you money or support you, or when you're trying to convince them to your point of view. Now, all of those considerations in the body of your speech should be taken into account before you make the final decision on how to start your speech. What are the ways that you can start it? Recognize the special person that's in the audience, that's due for an accolade, who deserves recognition. And that's one way to start it because you, by nature, when you do that, recognizing someone in the audience that's very well respected and you are associating with yourself, it's also a good way to curry favor with someone in the audience. And it's perfectly appropriate to start your speech that way. You can start it with a very interesting quote from a historical figure or someone who is very well respected in the audience that you're speaking to that sort of encapsulates what it is that you're going to talk about in your speech. You can tell a startling fact that people are generally not aware of, if that is related to the material that you're going to convey to your audience in the body of your speech. You can start with an interesting statistic that very few people know. All of these things are a way to get your audience to kind of perk up and pay attention to you at the get-go. A couple of other things that I've seen candidates do that generally work well. Let's suppose a candidate has gone to a particular city or a particular community in their district, and they are giving a speech that evening to people who are in that community. Well, one candidate the other day I saw do this. She was paying attention to local news in that community, and there had been an event in that community that really upset a lot of people that was related to part of her campaign agenda. And she opened her speech about something that had happened the day before that had been a tragedy in that town. It demonstrated to that audience that she was paying attention to what was going on in that town, and it was very much appreciated that she, out of this large district, took the time to investigate what happened and talk about what was on everybody's minds that particular evening. It did get their attention from the get-go, and it really ingratiated her with the audience. I've also seen candidates cite historical events in decades past, even centuries past, that are relevant to the political environment at this time to make a point to the audience about the stakes in an election in which they're running. That also is a way to make the audience think and engage their minds in what you are saying as a candidate. All of these are great ways to start a political campaign speech. My favorite way to start a political campaign speech is telling a story about some event in your life, something you saw, something you heard, something you experienced that changed the way you think, or maybe altered what you believe, or maybe changed the way you look at the world. And especially if you're running and you're passionate, if that event made you passionate about solving a particular problem that's part of your campaign agenda. Now, why do I do this? Or why do I suggest a story? If your story is interesting and relevant to the people in your audience, they're going to engage with you early on, and they're going to pay attention to what you are saying, because we all love a great story. We love a story that's relevant to us, on which we learn. Now, the better your story, the more engaged they become. But the reason that is my favorite is this. When you get up to speak, you got about 30 seconds to convince the audience that what you are saying is worth being heard. And if 30 seconds end, they have lost interest in what you are saying because you're beginning to bore them, this is what happens. Their cell phone comes out and they start checking their email. And once you've lost them your entire speech. That's why the beginning of your speech is so critically important. You want to engage the audience with something they didn't know, something they've not heard before, with a story that they have never heard before, or some beginning that makes them think, that captures their attention. Because if you capture their attention in the early part of your speech, chances are they're going to stick with you to the end. There's another thing that's worth mentioning here about the start of your speech and your speech in general. That's you with an audience in front of you, a perfect time to move them and touch them and make them deeply committed to you. Probably will not get another opportunity to speak to that audience during the course of a campaign. It's your chance to connect. That's what makes them important. Your words are the most powerful tool in your political arsenal. Your words are your principal source of power. If you can use your words to change the way people feel, your story, your words to change the way they think, to motivate them to do something they would not otherwise do, in other words, talk to their heart, not always their head, they will never forget you. They may forget the substance of what that you said. They may forget some of the facts and figures that you cite in your speech. But if you change the way they feel with the story that you tell and the words you mention in that speech, they will never forget you. That is the magic of the beginning of a political speech. It is the magic of a political speech that is done well. Always, when you're getting the chance to do one, make it the best speech you have ever given, because that opportunity may not come again soon. I'm going to tell you a little secret. I've lost track of the number of political campaign speeches I've written through the years for every kind and every conceivable kind of candidate that you can mention. Therefore, I know something about how to write a political campaign speech. And I put a lot of what I know into a video that is yours to watch for free. It's called How to Write a Political Campaign Speech. And if you're really serious about doing a good one, next, go to the link and watch that one. I tell you a lot more in the body of that video than I had time to tell you in this one.